Well, here we are again on the Heath, EF Press. Tomorrow, the 27th of April, this time I'm getting the dates right. Westminster Magistrates Court, the US versus Julian Assange continues with a hearing. And this continues, this show trial fiasco is continuing despite the overwhelming evidence that Julian Assange is completely innocent of all the 17 espionage charges from a foreign US jurisdiction currently being enforced in the UK. Before we get into some of the issues of tomorrow's case, mainly the fact that he should be let out of prison. Oh my God, we've got quite a swamp thing going on down here. I know my good friend Donald would be totally at home in this environment. Getting on to the current pandemic response in the UK. The UK media reporting now, in quotation marks, hospital deaths. So we have a total of 20,300 odd deaths in hospitals due to the COVID-19 virus. But they're very quiet on the care home deaths, of which 43% of those who died are in care homes. A large percentage of the prison and public institution population, and those who die at home, who are not often recorded as dying from the virus, especially if they haven't been tested. So they're quoting figures of hospital deaths of 20,000. You can easily double that, 40,000, including the care home, the prisons, institutions, etc. So this figure of mortality, and what does our Health Secretary Matt Hancock have to say about it? Promising tests tomorrow, and getting in the army to do the job of the NHS, which this is appalling work. And our Home Secretary, pretty, she says we've reached a terrible milestone with these figures, and that it's deeply tragic and moving moment, and advises the good citizens of the UK to stay strong and stay home for the foreseeable future. And as they say in the TV ads, stay home, save the NHS, which we have destroyed for 40 years, and now have to call in the army to do testing of frontline staff, care homes and prisons. Wonderful, Pretty. You're a ingenious idiot. It's another page-turning moment in this one. And what about our recently recovered Alexander Boris the Piffle Johnson, Prime Minister-elect, as it were, the dutiful son of Donald, condemning Julian Assange to this medieval torture at Belmarsh Prison and in the UK, and willing to embrace the US presidential license to kill. And this is for any threat they deem to their national security, to their surveillance state by decree, secrets. And really this fashion of assassination and torture, we've got to thank George Barrack Tony B. Liar, for this one. Sterling work on behalf of your security state by decree, especially Tony, who had absolutely zero reason to do anything such as he did. And why do you think the UK are peddling these lower figures, downplaying a crisis, condemning our elderly and sick to an early death due to these plagues and infections? And now Julian Assange sitting in that little cell in Belmarsh prison, years of isolation, torture and physical humiliation, public vilification. But now an Englishman's home, once their castle, now a prison. This is your Jerusalem, this is your Albion, this is your English legal practice and criminality and a distrust and a hatred for the rule of law. Get back to it soon, updating tomorrow. It is going to be an open hearing, I think, and we normally have at least 4 or 5 Julian Assange supporters, Defence Committee members, Deeper Driver often, and a smattering of journalists, usually foreign, or those who have been expelled from their positions for taking a sympathetic stance on the US versus Julian Assange case. So thanks for sticking with it. We've got some nice comments about the law lecture yesterday. Thank you very much. Obviously it turned into a little bit of a rant, but it's always good to let off steam. EF Press, finger of truth. Be back tomorrow.